generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're finally talking about it. Unfortunately, this week we got some terrible news and from Hollywood that the great actor James Earl Jones has passed away. And so I kind of wanted to make a video just kind of talking about some of the stuff that, James Earl Jones meant to me and just some of the cool things to share about not only with his career, but also some of his personal life stuff that I think is pretty cool. Um, Probably one of the most interesting things that I have learned about James Earl Jones is part of his upbringing, like where he was raised and whatnot. Now, so he was born in Mississippi, but he was raised in northern Michigan, and a lot of people don't know that. Um, you can probably tell from a lot of the stuff that we do here on the channel, sometimes the gear that we wear, you can tell that we're from Michigan. And so um, that was probably one of the most fascinating things I learned when I was a kid from my grandma. My grandma had a book on her shelf that was the biography of James Earl Jones. And what I didn't know as a kid, I didn't realize this, is that not only did he grow up in northern Michigan in a little town called Brethren, which is literally a very small town. Like you can get through that whole town in one little strip. There's basically one main road, a restaurant or two, a little pavilion for like gatherings and celebrations in the town, a baseball diamond, a little playground, and that's about it. So it's very small. Um, Way back, when he went to school, um, that school did have a different name. That school was back then it was called Dixon Rural Agricultural School, which is now called Brethren High School. And so my grandma was telling me these things about, he was born in Michigan, he was raised up north, and I was like, that's really cool. And especially because growing up as a child, again, didn't know this until my grandma said something. Um, my family always went to the Labor Day celebrations up in Brethren, and I always kind of wondered because they would have a craft show up there, and there's always a booth about James Earl Jones. It's like, well, why is the voice of Darth Vader, spotlighted here? And so it was cool to kind of start to make those connections. Now that was like elementary school me, seeing those things for the first time, and piecing it together. Uh, as I got older and my grandma was telling me little bits and pieces here and there, she'd watch me, watching Star Wars and then bring up the different things about James Earl Jones. It's kind of like, how do you know so much about this dude? Like, what's going on here? And my grandma actually pulled out her yearbook, and turns out that she went to school with him. Like, she had his high school picture right there in her high school yearbook. I think she said he was like a grade or two ahead of her. Um, but yeah, she would tell me about some of the stories. Like, they weren't like best friends or anything, but he was definitely around. Probably acquaintances or something like that. She would always tell me, he has this amazing voice. He's super well known as an actor nowadays. But when he was in high school, he had like a really bad stutter, and so it really shows like the perseverance that he went through to get past the stutter and then become one of these iconic voices of Hollywood or even the world. So, um, I always enjoyed watching the behind the scenes and learning about, his casting with Star Wars, of course, but then there's also these other cool stories from my grandma. Um, Eventually, because she had, like I said, the book on her shelf. Eventually, she bought me one of the books that was at the festivities up in Brethren, and it was a signed copy. So, I was absolutely ecstatic to say that I have the biography of James Earl Jones, and it is signed. So, I think that's super cool. Not only did he go to high school in northern Michigan, but when he went to go to do his college days, he went to the University of Michigan. I did not know that until fairly recently. It's very sad to have the things where, once someone passes, that's when we learn so much about them. But I think it's really cool. That is the college as far as like sports and stuff that I follow. I never went to Michigan, but uh, it's really cool to know that he actually did a lot here in the state of Michigan before he moved on to, bigger and better things. We all know him from some of his big movies, obviously Star Wars. There's also The Sandlot, Coming to America, Field of Dreams, you name it. There's a whole bunch of stuff on his resume. And so I just think it's super unfortunate that we did lose a great actor recently. Our amount of original actors and actresses are very, very small nowadays for Star Wars, and he was one of the remaining few. Of course, we still got Harrison and Mark Hamill, but James Earl Jones did join the force with Carrie Fisher and a ton of others that have passed as of late. Let's see. Oh, and probably one of his most recent. I mean, of course, he was in like Kenobi and stuff like that, but I feel like he's super well known for his voice. There's also some films that they're super popular, but I believe, at least from what I've experienced, he's more well known for his voice than like in-person acting. But probably one of the first times I've seen him like him in the flesh on screen was The Big Bang Theory. And I thought it was hilarious, this jokester character that he could play. I never met him personally, but it makes me wonder because he was playing himself in that show, if maybe he kind of like that. Did they write it that way, or are they just trying to make him, funny for the show? I don't know. Um, but it was really cool to see him like that as of late. Of course, there's a lot of like films from the past that we can reference back to, but that's kind of like one of our lasting memories of him as an actor on screen. So, um, yeah, so I just wanted to take a little time just to kind of give a little bit of my experience in appreciation for James Earl Jones. I think he made a huge impact on the world, not only with his voice, but also with his character and personality. Um, he will be missed, and his memory will live on with all of us. So, uh, that's what I got for you today. So thanks for watching. Check us out with some other videos, like and subscribe. Um, until next time, see ya.